Mark Todd, owner of Todd Quality Landscape Services. This is our 25th year in business. We've evolved from a company specializing in landscape construction and outdoor living to excavation, land clearing, and really taking advantage of the equipment that we have and really putting our Steelwrist equipment at the forefront of that change.
What was it that first got you into construction?
I mean, I thought I was going to be fifth generation dairy farmer. In the States here, that's the government's doing about everything they can to shut down the dairy farms and make it hard way of life for the farmers. So my parents got out of the dairy farming, and I still always wanted to be a farmer, wanted to be somebody who had the equipment. I always loved the equipment, and landscaping kind of came naturally to me as a result, and you could actually make a living doing it. And I love the equipment. So one thing after another, I started mowing lawns in high school and created a decent sized business with that. Sold that company, went to college, got my landscape design degree, and after that we were kind of off to the races and really kind of made a name for ourselves around our area as far as doing some pretty nice outdoor living areas around pools and stuff like that. But as the labor crisis has gotten worse over the last couple of years, especially, but even before 2020, we were really pushing for anything we could do to find more innovative equipment, anything that would really cut down on the amount of manpower we needed, but still allow us to get the work done and get it done efficiently. We came across the tiltrotators and everything like that, and we started doing more and more research. And I went up to Connecticut. I met with Steelwrist, I met with Encon, and looked everything over. Ran James Doyle's machine from Innovative, and we really just everything about the Steelwrist, from the construction and everything else, and I can go over that with you as well, the ins and outs of what we liked. It was just a no-brainer for us, and it's a decision that we're very happy with, and we've had our first one for 3 years now.
So what is it that keeps your passion alive for the work that you do?
I really like making a change that most people look at an area and just don't see any potential for it. I've done this long enough. I can kind of see things as a blank slate, even if it's an overgrown mess of a backyard or something. I can kind of envision in my head what that final product will look like, and being able to take something like that where nobody else can really picture it and bring it to fruition and really change people's way that they live their lives in their backyard is pretty fun for us.
So could you tell us about one of your projects that you remember?
One of the first ones we actually did with our Steelwrist, we had a pretty big property that was getting a pool in the backyard. The only problem was the hill came within about 5 feet of their backyard, so we had to cut out 300 or 400 yards of material, and then clear the woods as well, just to make space for the pool company to come in and put the pool. And we actually were able to dig out so many rocks between the pool excavation, the stormwater excavation, all the boulders on the job site, including I think it was a 8-ton boulder that we used as a grotto waterfall going into the pool. Everything came from the property, so it was kind of fun to basically find our own materials on site and create a really unique, one-of-a-kind backyard that we've won some awards for.
So what are some of the usual challenges that you encounter, and how do you handle them?
The biggest challenge that we have, and I think it goes for a lot of people, is just labor. And labor, whether you find guys and then you have to train them and then keep them, it's always a challenge no matter what the what the economy's been like. We went through '08 and the recession then, and now and everywhere in between. It's always been a struggle with labor, and that's why we've always tried to be one step ahead of everybody else as far as innovative equipment goes, because if we can put the money into equipment, I don't need to say that I have a ton of guys or a ton of crews. I don't care. If I can get the same amount of work done with 2 or 3 guys and 4 or 5 machines, well, then I'm gonna do that because the machines show up every day. I don't have to pay them workers' comp insurance or anything like that, and, the guys that I have are happier because they're not beating up their body as much as they used to have to, before these machines were available or before we had them, and so it helps with retention of employees. It keeps everybody happier because they can go home at the end of the day and play with their kids. They're not just beat tired. So it just it benefits all the way around, and that's been really nice.
What features from the Steelwrist do you value in your day-to-day life?
I guess the easy answer would be like all of them, because like I literally don't know how I could get into a regular excavator anymore. Like it almost seems useless. It's such a I know a lot of guys call it a game changer, but I say it's more of a life changer because it changes everything about how you run the business, how you bid jobs, how you look at a job, and how quickly you get a job done. So I mean, it just changes so much. Because yeah, okay, you can spin and tilt your bucket and makes digging swales and digging up against buildings and all that easier. But then there's so many attachments, and you can switch from those attachments in seconds. We have a lot of jobs now where just the fact that we can throw a set of pallet forks on the excavator, we don't have to have a track loader there to unload trucks now. So we do a sod job. I can unload the whole truck, all the sod pallets with the excavator and just swing it out and reach it out to the guys who are laying. And I'm not tracking up the yard that we just raked up. I'm not doing anything. Like the sod's right next to them. So you can just move it along. Like simple little things like that. It's just incredible. And then they just keep coming out with more and more attachments, and we keep buying more and more attachments, and it just makes every part of every job faster. So yeah, it's hard to pick out one feature because honestly, like we utilize like everything just constantly. So
What would you say is your favorite Steelwrist product today?
it probably have to be the grapple. It probably have to be the 5-tine grapple, and we've used it. It's worked really well for boulders. And I realize it's not meant for that as much, but then what we really like it for is for our land clearing stuff. We can grab logs, or we can grab smaller branches. I don't remember the last time I had a guy feed a branch into a chipper. So you're saving at least 1 or 2 guys right there every time you do tree work. So that's really nice. I mean, I'd have to give an honorable mention at least to the forks, because like the pallet forks seem like such a not real, like, I don't know, they don't get much. They're pallet forks. They're not anything special, but you can do so much with them on a job site, whether it's just moving pallets around, whether it's moving pipe around, or literally moving just different attachments. That's been we use the forks way more than we ever could have imagined. So we do like that, and then just the gripper cassette itself, having that ability to grab a compactor out of the back of a truck and just put it in, or grab an attachment or 2 and take it over to where you're going to be working with 2 or 3 attachments. But we use that like just as often as anybody else would use a thumb sometimes. Guys ask, don't you miss your thumb because you can't just grab a rock or whatever? I'm like, nah, I honestly haven't thought about my thumb for 3 years now because it's useless when you have so many other things you can do with the machine.
How has the construction industry changed over the years?
Most of what we do is landscape construction. So I'll speak to that more so. It's been really interesting because you can kind of tell what companies pay attention to, especially, I mean, as weird as it seems to say, but pay attention to Instagram and social media, because a lot of the new products, that's where people are seeing them for the first time, whether they're seeing a video of them being used or they're seeing an ad or whatever. It's really interesting to see some of the older companies getting almost passed by the wayside because they aren't willing to accept the change, and they still want to do things the old way, and the whole, oh, my thumb, I can outdig anybody, with my thumb and my 30-year-old excavator. It's like, okay, I get that you think you have skill, and I'm sure you do, but why not combine that skill with new products, and then you'd be unstoppable. So I think getting over that mindset for some companies, once they get over themselves, really, and accept the technology and accept that things are changing, then that's when you see some companies really start to thrive. But it's also interesting to see some of the younger guys who are, I mean, younger than me, and I'm almost jealous of them because it's like all this new equipment, all this innovation is at their fingertips, and it's relatively affordable compared to what it would have been, back 25 years ago when I started. So it's really neat to see some guys who are pretty young be able to build up a pretty good sized company by taking advantage of technology in a lot of different forms, not just the tiltrotators and everything else, but embracing the technology of advertising through Instagram or Facebook or whatever, where you have such an easy and a lot of times free market to reach out to a huge amount of people. So it's really been interesting to see how technology and how people accept or don't accept the technology impacts how successful their business is in a lot of ways.
Looking ahead, do you have any message or advice that you would like to share with fellow excavator operators?
Buy a tiltrotator tomorrow because you'll wish you did 5 years ago. Honestly, like I think the difference that having a tiltrotator has made in our company, like I can't even begin to think of something that's even remotely equivalent to it other than buying an excavator, period. Like it's just it just makes such a big difference in what do. It cuts down on the manpower that you need. It cuts down on the time you spend on any part of any project. I mean, we've had jobs where we've literally forgotten to bring a shovel because we use shovels to clean out the cracks if they get muddy at this point. Like, it's just when you get good with a machine like that, you can do so many hand tasks with it that it's really, until you have one, you don't really understand completely how efficient it is. Because I talked to a lot of guys before I got one, and they rave about it, of course. And I even had the different brands I was talking to, all the salesmen were like, listen, in the end, if you buy a tiltrotator, it's going to change your life, whatever brand it is. Now, we had a lot of reasons that we went with Steelwrist, and we're really glad we did. And especially after the sale, they don't just leave you. Like, I think the experience gets better with Steelwrist after the sale than before, which I think a lot of companies don't really focus on, and I'm glad Steelwrist does. And had I realized how much of a focus they put on taking care of their current customers over getting new ones, it's been really, really cool. And that for me, has been why, like, I do everything I can to, help you guys out or give you any information I can, because it's just, the after sales support has been phenomenal. Like, a lot of us don't like workout machines, and I'm one of them. Okay. And that was a big thing when you're talking buying a piece of equipment that's from Sweden, really far away. Then, the closest dealer is probably Connecticut for me. So that's an 8-hour drive. It's a significant drive. So I'm not just hauling my machine there to get fixed. So, one of my main concerns was getting it fixed and stuff like that. Now it's not a big issue because I am not a mechanic by any means. I've had a couple O-rings go bad. And I think somebody ripped a hose off one time. Okay. All no big deal. But I had to take, for the one O-ring, I had to take half the tilt rotator apart. But Martin sent me all the specs. He sent me everything. He FaceTimed me a couple times, and I was back in operation. He overnighted the parts. I was back in operation the next afternoon. You know what I mean? Like, if that would have happened to my machine and something went bad, I would have had to take it to the dealer, wait until they got to it, wait for them to do the work, and then get the parts. So it would have been days to get fixed. And my dealer's 45 minutes away, not hours away, or, wherever Martin was that time.